I'm so glad you're here to ease back, to rest, and to listen. Before we get started, I want to share this with you. Rest is many things. Rest is a portal. Rest is a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Rest is fuel. Rest is a soft place to land. And most of all, rest is sacred. Rest is refuge. Rest is remembrance. Rest is a revelation. You are sacred. Your rest is sacred. And if you want to infuse more of the sacredness of rest into your day to day life, I have something for you. Check out my latest book, Rest is Sacred, at www.restisacred.com. Okay, enjoy your listen. Welcome to Leaders Devoted to Rest, where we explore how rest is a sacred practice that awakens both possibility and power within you. I'm your guide, Octavia, Faith, and Raheem. In each episode, I chat with a leader whose life has been positively transformed through their devotion to rest. Now, you know we aren't just going to sit up here and talk about rest. We are going to actually lay down. Each episode ends with a rest practice for you to try at home. Rest is fuel, and you are in the right place to fuel up. So grab your favorite pillow, blanket, cozy socks, and journal, and ease on back as we begin another restorative episode. Today, I am talking with and resting with Dr. LeConte Dill. Dr. LeConte Dill is a community accountable educator, scholar, storyteller, and artist born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, California. Currently, Dr. Dill is the Director of Graduate Studies and a tenured associate professor in the Department of African American and African Studies at Michigan State University. Additionally, as a certified mindfulness instructor and a much sought after wellness guide, she situates breathwork as vital to her praxis. In her art, research, teaching, mentoring, and activism, Dr. Dill aims to listen to and show up for Black girls in particular, and to rigorously document our strategies and technologies of wellness, healing, and resistance. In this episode, we discuss how rest and play reconnect us to our joy and our community and our humanity, calling us home to our fullest self. Dr. LeConte Dill, thank you so much for being here at Leaders Devoted to Rest. I have just said your name, Dr. LeConte Dill, and it also feels really important to me and for me for you to name yourself and to share where you're arriving from. But I actually want to back up a little bit and invite you to do what I like to do and what we do as community all the time, which is to start by stopping. And so if you would start by stopping with me by closing your eyes or softening your gaze. And I don't know if you just went to do that and felt immediately an exhalation want to fall out of your mouth. That's what happened for me. And if it's what happened to you, I invite you to exhale with a sigh. Hmm. Yeah. And so starting by stopping really is pausing, noticing body, noticing breath, and receiving 3 breaths in through the nose and maybe out through the mouth or out through the nose. We'll do that 1 or 2 more times now together.
Mhm.
And then when you feel complete with that, you open your eyes. Didn't that just, ooh, I'm here
Yes.
now. You see? And that's it. So many times people go like, I just I can't get my footing. I cannot rest. And I literally always say, then start by slowing down and then start with the pause. And we pause for maybe that was 60 seconds and then continue. That's it. And I believe that if leaders did that again and again and again, I'm like, how we're leading
Mhm.
changes, how we're engaging with folks change. The quality of our presence shifts, and that's what creates impact just as much as what we do. And so, with that, thank you so much for being here, Dr. LeConte Dill. Can you tell us who you are and where you're arriving from today?
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. As always, Octavia, I am Dr. LeConte Janine Dill. I am arriving from Ease today. I'm arriving from just outside of Lansing, Michigan. I'm arriving from sunny inside, although it is gray and rainy outside. I am a Deborah's daughter. I am Berto's partner. I am Worthy Wonder's mother. I am a friend, a homegirl, a sis, and a mentor to many. And I'm arriving ready for this conversation.
And you know what? I know you from South Central, so I was waiting for that to come up.
I say that so much, right? It's always been me. I'm from South Central LA,
Because
okay?
you know it stands out to me. I always hear you go, daughter of South Central LA,
Yeah.
daughter of Spelman. Like your why does that why am I like, wait a minute, she didn't say Spelman?
I appreciate the invitation though, even in like the three questions or even this question now to like think of the various ways I show
That's
up.
right. That's
Um,
right.
Always South Central, always Spelman. I was back home at Spelman last weekend. Um, and these other ways and spaces.
That's right. So a little bit of a tangent. Um, Thank you for sharing the layers. Very dynamic. The visual that came up for me was like a quilt.
Mm,
I think of a quilt when I think of you,
mm,
LeConte. And and then the quilt that you're weaving in your life and through your playfulness, because I know that that's a real gift and power and healing of yours is play. So through all of that in your work and your loving and your being, what has or does rest awaken for you within all of that?
hmm. I think that rest and play are cousins, if not siblings. I value both of
They
them.
are first cousins at least,
Right.
right?
Maybe they're my children too. You know. Um, I really appreciate that you said quilt, because I haven't associated that with me, but I think it's because I'm thinking so literal. Like, I don't know exactly how to quilt, but I appreciate the practice, right, of knitting together, of connecting. I'm thinking of one of my comrades, Dr. Liv Furman, who is in my department and is a quilter, amongst other
Mhm.
things, and literally quilts like in our department, quilts with students. And so to be in that number, thank you. Rest awakens like that pause literally in the practice, but that pause also in the title of your work of Pause Rest Be, that pause has awakened so much in me. It's a reminder that I gift to my students. I've learned from you and maybe remember to learn from myself of like the answer comes after the pause. And so I know that the pause and rest, like the pause is part of rest, rest is part of the pause, and that the answers arrive from that.
The answer arrives after the pause.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I was like talking to a student this morning and they kept saying they like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And literally 2 seconds later, they had their own answer. And so I'm like, after the inhale and exhale, like after the pause. And I learned a lot of that from your teacher, Dr. Gail Parker,
Mm,
as you bring her into your mini spaces personally and
mm,
in citational praxis and
mm,
somatic practice. And
mm,
when in a devoted to rest session, she asked us like who were our rest mentors. And then
mm.
we went into our Zoom rooms and all of these Black and brown women were quick to be like, nobody taught me how to rest. My grandma couldn't rest, my nana couldn't rest, and pause. And I immediately had an answer. At least one of my rest mentors was my Nana Dill. And literally it came like right after the pause. Like, yes, you have the like the ire and the anger that we cannot rest as Black, particularly as Black women, and then pause and remember the folks that couldn't rest because of society and our positions and rested anyway, even if
Yeah.
they didn't call it rest, but they had ritual, even if they didn't.
Found a way and made a way.
Yeah, and so that came after a pause, literally. And so after that, I was like, yo, we have the answers.
We have the answers, and I'm resting on behalf of those who
Mm,
could not rest, and
yeah.
I'm resting in honor and remembrance of Mama Deal, Nana Deal, who found a way and made a way. And that duality, that non-binary, like the both
Yeah.
and, is
Yeah.
very true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it was in that session when we started to
Yes.
respond as a group, when we came back as a group and we were like, okay, who taught us how to rest? And some folks were still like, nobody, nobody, nobody ever. And I was remembering, I'm like, I grew up in a Baptist church where people got on their knees and prayed, and sometimes folks stayed there a very long time. And now I recognize, like, I teach child's pose, balasana. It looks very much like
Mhm.
kneeling at the front
Mhm.
of the Baptist church I grew up in and praying. And now I recognize people staying there a long time was respite, it was refuge, it
Mhm.
was restoration, it was a rest practice.
Mhm.
You know, I'm like, the way we did altar call at my church was very similar to just laying down in Shavasana. Like we got down on the floor, you know,
Mhm.
but then also in that session, I was remembering my mom had a literal prayer closet.
Mhm.
That was where she took respite. And though she raised my sister and I solo, she was very clear. She would close her door and tell us when we
Mhm.
could and could not enter. And I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, she was making boundary. There was a lot she was teaching me in
Mhm.
that, you know, and she made sure we were really good and very set up and knew that we were not being abandoned and then said, but don't knock on this door. Right. And you know, and I think about her often when I think, oh, I just can't, or when someone goes, I can't, because I'm like, her circumstances literally told her she couldn't, and she said,
Mhm.
"Watch this," like
Right.
you know, and she found a way, and so I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought that devoted to rest session into here
Mhm.
because I remember the powerful remembrance that came after that collective
Yes.
pause and
Yes.
your share that came out of your pause. So
Yes.
I love that what you're saying is rest has awakened you to the answer comes
Mhm.
after the pause. And sometimes we are just what it's so simple and profound. It's like, oh, you're searching, you're trying, you're striving. How about you pause? You know, sometimes we're trying to figure something out, and it's like you're
Yes.
not
Okay.
gonna figure it out as long as you keep on leaving no space to see what's actually here or for the answer to arrive. You're not gonna figure it out, you know. So thank you for that. Um, Anything else to pause? Is there any other answer that you're like, this has really been transformative? It came out of your pause or a realization that came out of a pause for you?
That, although I said we have the answer, that I don't always have to have the answer. And so
Yes.
I was really against meditating for a long time, until I felt like I had to because I like literally caught myself not breathing. And part of my hesitation was like, I don't know how to do it right. Where's the book? What's the outfit? How much time do I do? And I was going down that
Mm,
spiral rabbit hole. And when I finally was like, I have to do something, there were teachers, particularly Black women that were there, that were like, just come, just show up, specifically on Thursdays in Oakland, the East Bay Meditation Center, Spring Washam. Just show up on Thursdays. It does not matter what you wear. It does not matter. Just come. I will guide you. And so that awakens so much. And I think that that realization that like I don't have to be my teacher and my preacher all the time, that there are other guides, then allowed more pause to remember the guide that I can be for me, let alone for others. But like to let myself be guided and then to remember when I can show up as a guide for myself and for others. But if I
Mm,
don't have it, I don't have it. And that doesn't
mhm.
mean I'm alone and abandoned.
Thank you. So the pause awakens us to where there's the answer that we can resource within, from within.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
also, I don't have to know everything
mhm,
and also be all the things. And
mhm,
um, I don't know if you have this sometimes in the pause, you get clarity if there's a resource. You can start to feel where under resourced is happening in your
mm,
self or
mhm,
soul
mhm,
is really what was coming. Like the soul can't be under resourced, but the feeling of like, sometimes we pause and we go, I am in need of something, you know?
mhm,
And
mhm,
then if we pause a little bit longer, the something becomes apparent. And then if we pause a little bit longer, it's like, oh, this is where I can access that.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Definitely. Definitely.
So thank you for sharing that and your path of devotion to rest and also devotion to really meaningful, transformative to work in this world and play. What are you devoted to doing? And also, what are you devoted to not doing? Being like, we're done. Not finna do that anymore. Because the
Yeah.
not doing is as important as, they go together. There's a dynamic at play.
I am devoted to chilling. Like, really, I really appreciate Gen Z and how they say, like, I do not dream of labor. And so, although
Yes.
we got bills and I do have a job and want to keep it currently, kind of, um, I'm not dreaming of labor. I'm often dreaming of a beach. But even in workspaces, and I think I know that you have been part of this of like building your rest nest, and then I've offered that to others. So there are spaces to rest even in my workspaces. So I'm devoted to chilling, to like to being easeful. Like I really like a chill. I really like my couch. I used to be like really loving to be on the go in these streets, and maybe it's just age or the stage I'm in, but I really like a like couch life, hashtag couch life. Um, Part of that is like what I'm devoted to not doing. So I'm a professor, I'm an academic, and folks know that academia is not a 9 to 5.
Mm,
And with technologies, like folks can be always on with I think real, but also perceived or assumed pressures is like we have to be always on. But I do not. um, I'm really thankful that I also am in a department. I have a chair who values rest. We literally have a wellness room in our department. She has healers and rest coaches and leaders and somatic coaches and sound healers come in to our department practices. But she also is very clear, like, oh, are you on a 9 month contract? That means you are off in the summer. She's like, I do not expect you to do work. To have a chair say that in academia was transformational to me, just to hear it, like
that's
to
right.
have that affirmed. When I came to this job 3 years ago, this was my first time having a 9 month contract. And so when I was approaching the summer, I was like, well, what should I do? Should I sign up for this? And she was like, she starts to give me every summer like a sentence. So I think that first sentence, she was like, replenish your soul. And
Mm,
then it was fill your cup. This last summer was growth. And so that's my marching orders. And so although I could still be working and writing, there's always things to do. I don't in the summer. She's also valuing, like, not to ascribe to capitalism and capital, but I'm not getting paid. No summer, in those summer months. And so the invitation to chill, I was like, why aren't other people doing this? Like, when I discover like my deck outside, that I'm so excited that I was able to have a house to have a deck. Like,
Mhm.
I I realized that like, yeah, my subdivision has a play area, and although my daughter's in daycare, like the play area is not just for her. I could walk down there, myself. And so then like literally the play was awakened with that permission, reminder, affirmation to chill and to not do. And again, productivity is not like the metric I want to lean in, but that's the word I'll use right now. I'm not less productive. I'm probably more productive. I mean, you know this, you say this, you preach this. I'm still getting my job done.
It's just like it's like for me, I'm like, it's not the point of my rest. And then you go, wow. The word I use is generative and creative, like creative,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
like there is there's an overflow that can spill from a rest practice that awakens you to like life is here to be lived and not just worked on.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
think it's James Baldwin. It is James Baldwin who
mhm,
said, I do not dream of labor, you know.
mhm.
Like
Shout out to Genevieve for
someone
finding
he said somebody said he asked him like is it something about a dream job. He was like, I don't dream of labor. Like
Mhm,
that's and it's like I don't either. I do dream of like creativity and um making things and how I relate to people and like I dream dreams.
mhm,
And
mhm,
there's such it's not just what I do. I don't just dream of what I do.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So you said you're noticing you are off when you're off.
mhm, mhm.
And so do you feel guilty?
I don't at all. I don't. I
That
don't.
first year, did you?
No. So leading up to the summer, I think even like during the fall and the spring when we are on contract, I think just the department I arrived in, I was like, I'm coloring a lot just to process. Like I'm journaling, I'm napping. Is that okay? So I felt guilty then, but I also no one was like telling me like I'm not doing enough work. Not that I guess that is a metric for us, right? Like somebody like coming in.
And we have a lot of conditioning of the external
Yes.
being like,
Yes.
whether it's like someone actually pointing the finger or like
Yeah.
from the inside, like that's
Yeah.
real. Thank you for
So
naming that.
it was so I realized how internal it was.
Mm.
And so that was just a personal call in. But then when that summer hit and then when those off times hit, I do not feel guilty at all. And I'm trying to like start a movement to have others like rid themselves of that guilt. I do not take a laptop. If I'm going to the beach for a beach, like not a conference that happens to be on, the laptop is not there. Although, you can access stuff from other devices, but no, like I'm really off.
LeConte, you are a movement. And
Mhm.
tell us what has supported you in dismantling the guilt from within? Because you said you realized that the finger pointing was really happening. Because what you did, and I love that your environment was not saying go, 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 do, do, do. Your
Mhm.
environment was saying your rest nest. And for the listener, rest nest is this really beautiful palette we make and lay down. I learned it from
Mhm.
Tracy Stanley and Dr. Shanti Tacarante Perez. But you're saying my external environment changed,
Mhm.
whereby I didn't feel like I'm just kind of chase my own tail. I can't catch up with myself or my breath, but I was still doing some of that. I realized it was occurring from within. But now you time hopped us to now I can rest and take the space and just enjoy my life and play and all those things without guilt. What fill in the gap for us? What helped you to get from where you were to where you are?
Continuing to deepen my own personal practices.
Mhm.
Um, of meditation, of adding in restorative yoga and finding, thank you, Octavia, yoga nidra. And like, again,
It's like shout out to Yoga Nidra, like, see, we gotta give it
sleep,
this shout out to Yoga Nidra.
yoga
I
or
be like,
sleep. And that you always say, and I remind like that it's an outcome. Like sleeping is not like you're being rude or disrespectful in the practice. Like that is the practice, that is the process, that is the outcome. So
if
deepening
you need to sleep,
that,
you will sleep.
your body is telling you need to sleep. So deepening practices, remembering other practices. So I've been a dancer off and on through my life, and I never like called myself a dancer, but I never really stopped. Like I'm in an adult tap class now. I go tonight. And some folks were like, I haven't tapped since I was 14. I was like, no, like I might have had like a 3 year pause in between, but like, no, I kind of regularly was dancing. So
Mm.
whatever ways we like put on and take off these labels, like maybe I don't always carry a dance bag, but that doesn't mean I'm a dancer. But like being more in touch with my body somatically, and dance is all about play. And then although we're adults, we have recitals too, or we're in the part of the recital, like that the stage, like I get to play, and even if it's one song, so a couple minutes length, like yeah, bet. So opportunities, I guess, to literally practice play. Like I said, like, oh, I can go to this playground too. Like, I don't need a toddler. Like, that's
I'm
not my
also
entry.
hearing something I'm hearing in you is that a lot of times leaders invest in this certain kind of professional development. I hear you saying, I have invested in my well being and care to unsaddle myself because it's probably ancestral guilt. It's not just your guilt you're carrying. And it's like as you it's like you're not just freeing up the bag you're carrying, you're freeing up bags on bags on
Yeah.
bags. And
Yes.
you have invested in the support that allows you to do that. And you're investing time instead of just investing time and resources in like, how do I get better at working? You're investing time and energy and resource into how do I get better at living, at
Yes.
being?
Yeah.
And because it's the guilt isn't ours alone. And so dismantling it alone, it just it's not gonna work. Right.
Yeah.
Um Thank you for that. And now I'm like, I
I
haven't,
think,
I don't know how to tap dance, but you are inspiring me right now. I'm like, maybe. Hmm.
and even with that, because, we're human and because it's me, when I first started back, like when I moved here, now I have a weekly practice, when I moved to Michigan. And because I'm in this department that values art as scholarship, I was trying to make this tap class part of my research.
Can we just values art as scholarship? Thank you. And then I heard you say you was trying to make it part of your research.
Yes. So I'm so proud and blessed and honored that I am in a department that, so I'm a poet as well. And all of my poetry that I was already doing it in and not as research, putting it on my CV anyway, even if it counted. I'm in a department in a college that counts it now.
Mhm.
But then I realized like, oh, they count art? All my art's gonna count. And so I was like, maybe my tap class, I need to think about Black feminist, somatic, da 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 da, and tap is a Black indigenous dance form, and then pause. Or I could go to this 45-minute class once a week. That's 3 minutes from my house, and then go home.
Have a good time again. Yeah.
And like literally leave it on the dance floor. Everything does not need to be as product, as citation, as scholarship. Like I love the blending and melding of that.
Yes.
And I can
Yeah.
just go play and
Yeah.
go home. So
Mm.
those like internal checks. And it's always like whenever I tell somebody the story, they're like, girl, but I did my own girl for myself. And like stopped that spiral. That doesn't mean that I might not do something with the dance practice, but like for now,
Right.
just go to this class.
Yes, we are in practice, not perfection. And
Hmm.
thank you for
Hmm.
that. That's gonna bless somebody today.
Hmm.
Cause yeah, yeah. Cause I just heard you say like the familiar train of thought and spiral begin. You
Right.
you've been resting and meditating and practicing self-awareness so you could observe it unfolding. And then with a lot of self-compassion, because when we do it from a place of good judgment, the internal response isn't as fruitful. But with
Mhm.
compassion, you said, "Girl,
Yeah.
we're not doing this that way. We're
Right.
gonna go up here and dance. We're gonna leave it on the dance floor. We are gonna embody this joy and feel it, and we're gonna go home. We do not
Yes.
have to make our work, our play work."
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for
Mhm.
that. Thank
Mhm.
you for that. So vision with me a little bit, daydream with
Mhm.
me a little bit. What is a well-rested life to you?
Hmm.
Let's say you're 80 and looking back, 102 looking back, um, and some grand, great little Mama Deal, Nana Deal.
Yes.
Tell us about your life, but they say well-rested life because 'cause they've been watching you,
Yeah.
right? So, what do you tell them?
So I see like aesthetically, I see fly. Like I see like nails still done. I see like a stylish cane. Um,
Mm,
I see like some rings. You know, the elders got like rings on every finger.
I got one.
Like on every finger.
I know.
It's like I want to step into that. Um, smiling, um, dancing. So even if depending on how my body is giving, but I'm picturing now my Nana Susie and like just that little gig and that jig that the elders do, like, yeah, I remember, like, my papa Dill, like, I had learned, like, a little chant on the playground, and I was like when I came home, my elementary school was, like, 2 blocks from his house. He often would pick me up, and we would walk home, and then I was, like, doing my little chant, and then he did the chant too. Papa do, yeah, Papa do, yeah. And then so I feel like play, like really, if it's a remembered play or a borrowing play, maybe I'm borrowing from the great great grand,
Mm.
um, and singing and chanting and dancing along with them. A lot of smiling, a lot of giggling. I think like reclaiming the giggle, like not putting that down because of age or because of profession. A few years ago, I was walking down the hallway going to a class, and I heard giggling, and I realized it was my students.
Mm.
And it was, like, early in the semester, but they had already begun to, like, form a community, and they were just, like, laughing but I, like, heard a giggle, which I feel like, it's part of laughter, but it's, like, a specific kind of a laugh.
Mhm.
So I'm like, "More giggling," and in spaces where you wouldn't, like, expect it. Um, so like, yeah, cheeks aglow and like in full movement. I feel like that's a big part of rest. Like the
Mhm.
dancing, the fly, the giggles, the chanting.
So your well-rested life allowed you to reclaim,
Mhm.
anchor into, and even pass on as sacred legacy
Mhm.
the Black girl giggle,
Mhm. Mhm.
the flyness,
Yeah.
the smile, the laughter. A well-rested life afforded you and kept you in joy. That's what I
Mhm.
hear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. I really can see it. Thank you. I went there with you. Um,
I often also so when people talk about like a Black woman being retired, I always say, "Is she really retired or Black woman retired?" And
mm.
so, as an elder, I really wanna be really retired, and, because there's also a joke when Black women get bored, they go get another degree. So, I appreciate that we're lifelong learners, that we're
Yeah.
servants, however, like yeah, I want to be really, really
Mhm,
not,
mhm.
working for an institution
Yes.
when I'm at that great,
Yeah.
great grand
It might
stage.
be like, I work for these flowers, I work for the
Yes.
earth, like or like it's
Mhm.
like I play with them, I talk to them,
Yeah,
like it can look a lot of ways, like
yes.
so as we come to this round the corner in this conversation, I always it feels so important to me not to just talk about rest. you
Mhm.
know, but
Mhm.
to have this listening experience and this conversational experience end with some rest. And what I want to offer you is to pause, notice body, notice breath, and ask yourself what part of you is most in need of rest or would
Mhm.
appreciate some rest right now. And if you would like to share your answer, do. And if not, you just hold the answer and I'm going to guide you and us and the listener into a rest practice.
I'm feeling like my throat and heart chakras,
Okay.
and throat and heart literal organs and spaces,
Mm,
um, rest so that they can open up and thrive. But I feel like
mm,
they need to rest, um, in order to, like, remember themselves.
mhm. Okay. Thank you. So, throat and kind of heart space. And I hear what stands to be reclaimed in resting throat and heart space is truth
Mhm.
and voice, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So if you'd like to stay on camera, you can. You do not have to. If you'd like to go off camera, please do. If you want to lay down, please do.
Right. Go off camera
Um,
and lay it on down.
okay.
I
Okay.
like this.
Okay. All right. And so, hmm, you can, if you're listening, you can stay sitting upright and preparing to rest is a rest practice. And so you take your time. Um, And as you begin to settle into the chair or the nest or wherever you are, just be aware of the support beneath you, the support around you, and the support radiating from within you here with our Dr. LeConte Dill, Nana Dill was named, a grandfather was named, another grandmother was named. And so I'm going to honor them as here, as um, both resting and supporting the rest occurring. And I'm saying that because I just said, be aware of the rest, the support available to you from the inside. And so I'd invite the listener to be aware of those who are light and bright in spirit, well enough in spirit to attend to their care and their wellness to be with them. And then just begin to notice your body and your breath. Notice the rise, the fall, the ebb, and the flow. And then receive the next inhalation as a gift. and release the exhalation as a promise. Receive the next inhalation. It is a gift. And the next exhalation is a promise that you, we can let go. And then one more time that way, inhaling gift, exhaling promise. And then breathing in more intentionally the next inhalation. Exhaling, opening the mouth and exhaling out with an audible sigh. We'll do that one more time. Breathe in through the nose, clearing the throat quite literally as a precursor to resting it. Exhale with the sigh. And then on the next inhalation, feeling up. And then just exhaling with the like the sound A, like a long A. It's soft though. And then we'll do that two more times. So we inhale, and it's audible yet soft. Exhale, ah. And you do that one more time. And then you notice the effect of just breathing in and exhaling, ah. And then we'll inhale again. On the next exhale is ooh. Just exhaling long, ooh. Let it be soft though. And you do that two more times. Inhale, exhale, ooh. And it might feel a little silly, but just let it be soft and just ooh it on out. And then when you're complete with that exhalation, the next exhalation, you just notice the effect of breathing in and oohing out. And then on your next inhalation, receive the breath in. This time, press the lips together softly, and on the exhale is like a hum. So just that's the exhalation. And you can do that two more times. You might do that up to 5 or 7 more times. The or out. And when you feel complete with inhaling through the nose and or humming out, then just bring attention and awareness to the center of the chest. And you don't have to try to breathe in and out of the chest. You don't, or this place in the center of the chest, you don't have to try to breathe in and out of that place. Just bring awareness there. Sense, feel, know, and trust a steady, rhythmic, nourishing, restorative pulsation and rocking occurring here. So just bring awareness to the center of the chest. And to say it more plainly, just simply be aware and let attention and awareness rest here for 1 minute. You'll hear my voice again in 1 minute. So be aware of the space in and around the center of the chest. Be aware of the space in and around the throat. Be aware of both a clearing and maybe a gathering, meaning just notice what you notice in these two spaces. And when you're ready, not a moment before, not a moment after, but when you're ready, let that awareness expand out to the whole body and then bring awareness to the breath. And after that, movement back into the body, small movements into the body. And I like for the small movements for myself to be wiggle fingers and toes. Sometimes I just start to shift my head from left to right. And if this feels resonant, you can place one hand at the throat and then place a hand at the center of the chest. Notice what you notice, feel what you feel. And then when you're ready, you come back. You can free write, you can journal, you can simply sit and notice. Even though we didn't move, we didn't do a lot. But notice if something shifted um, for you in the pause, in the stillness. And so, in when or as you're ready, you'll come back. And I see you journaling. So, So, how are you? How was that?
It's amazing.
Isn't it always nice to just be like, yeah,
Right.
like again, back to where you started us, I can pause.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
such a fertile and fruitful and like just warm, nourishing place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. So before we wrap up, can you tell us, I don't know, if there's anything that feels clear to you now, clearer, anything that you want to share, any last words? And then after that, if you can share um, how we can find you.
Mhm. So what feels clearer is that the answers are after the pause. And that the answers are here. Like a lot of the answers are like already here.
Mm,
Um, so just thinking about that like internal resistance or that internal like I need to do more, and then you like pause and you're like, oh, like I am doing enough, or it's already here.
mm,
I already have the rest and the pause.
mm.
Um, I was thinking more around like the aesthetics I talked about when I'm thinking about my elder self. And so with the meditation practice, like I saw more of her,
Yeah.
her fly. And so I'm even thinking about how she can teach me now.
Yes.
My elder LeConte can teach me.
It's
Like,
a really powerful to access, like, the past, present, and future
yeah,
always they join hands all the
mm,
time.
yes,
And what I always say when I rest, I remember the future, and
yeah,
then I can come back to the present moment and really kind of reverse engineer, if you
mhm,
will. Um, and it can sound wild. And it's just like, okay, so you access that vision and that felt, I imagine it must have felt good and nourishing and joyful. What am I doing today?
yes,
Because it is what we do today and what we do not do today that supports that fly one
mhm,
with the rings and the giggle and in
mhm,
her being able to be won't manifest, as you would say,
yeah, yeah,
in this plane. Um, so where can we find you and your
yes.
poetry?
Yeah, yes, yes. Website is lecontedill.com. That's LeContedill.com. On IG newly, because I'm very much so auntie Gen X, but newly on IG popping at Doc Dill Totem, DocDillTaughtem. Um, Still kind of on X-ish. And I'm at Doc Dill there. My poetry can be accessed from my website. Stay tuned. Hopefully, my first solo author poetry book will be dropping in the new year. And more poems to come. Yeah.
Thank thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the just like the power of play and imagination and giggles and reminding us that we get to we get to enjoy this. That sounds so simple, but it's like we get to be here and really see the color purple, not just walk by it. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm not gonna get into why the reference how
Right.
the reference might land. I think who it lands for gets it. Why we
Right.
get to be here and not just walk by the color purple. We get to
Yeah.
see it and enjoy it and experience it and understand it's a reflection of just how worthy we are, how loved we are,
Mhm.
how beautiful and brilliant we are. So thank you for bringing us back into the heart of that memory.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And you are still here. I hope that means that you enjoy the episode. Before moving on to the next thing, I have an invitation for you. If you can, pause and notice your breath. Notice your inhale and notice your exhale. As you reflect on this episode, what did you hear that was interesting or inspiring? What did you learn? What did this episode wake up within you? What did this episode allow to rest within you? Thank you again so much for being here. You are sacred. Your rest is sacred. And you being here and you staying here affirm that you can be devoted to rest. That you can be a leader and devoted to rest. Until next time.